Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
So we're in a readathon.
Good morning.
And we put out an episode yesterday.
Yes, we did.
That was pretty rich and spicy. But then some other news came out, and this is going to not be a long one because we don't know if other news is going to break today.
Man, it's day after day. Yeah.
Oh, my God. So let me just...
We thought that this was going to be over.
No.
After the mistrial. Like, oh, no, we won't have anything to talk about.
I didn't think it was going to be over, but I thought that maybe there wouldn't be an update like every day. So here's what happened yesterday after we put out our readathon. Okay, so we got another affidavit and filing by Karen Read's lawyers.
Right.
Yet another juror has come forward. A fourth juror. Now comes the defendant Karen Read by and through the undersigned counsel and hereby respectfully submits this supplemental memorandum in support of her motion to dismiss filed July 8th, 2024. But of course, we only saw it yesterday. So, of course, now it's Thursday morning, July 11th. So, basically, yet another juror has come forward and said, as reflected in the attached affidavit of Alan Jackson, so Karen's lawyer, Alan Jackson, made another affidavit, that a jury reached the not guilty verdict. Juror D has come forward and said the jury reached a not guilty verdict on counts 1 and 3. And once the jury was dismissed, quote, many of the jurors appeared uncomfortable with how things ended, wondering, italics, is anyone going to know that we acquitted Karen Read on count 1 and 3? No one ever asked about those counts. So this is the filing, but then there's actually an affidavit that goes with this, that is Alan Jackson's affidavit. Which actually is, it's interesting to me that there's these filings and these affidavits. What do you make of the fact, by the way, that the lawyers are actually filing affidavits and filings? Is that unusual, you think? I don't really know much about how this works.
Well, I think I haven't seen they made a filing for a motion. Asking the judge to do something to dismiss. So
there was a filing for a motion to dismiss by this new lawyer that's filed a brief appearance, like her new lawyer of record. But then these motions are supplemental motions, like supporting it. Yeah. But then the lawyers themselves are filing affidavits in support of the motions. So for instance...
So instead of presenting this in court at a later date,
correct,
they're putting it down on paper, they're submitting it to the court, and also letting the public know.
Well, it's also an affidavit as if I am writing this down and stipulating to it, like a witness would.
Right.
So essentially,
right.
Let me read you
until
what
until they can get a juror to make their own, statement. And I think at some point the judge has to bring in the 12 jurors again.
Right.
Yeah.
So Alan Jackson's own affidavit says, I, Alan Jackson, declare I'm a partner at the Los Angeles law firm of Worksman, Jackson and Quinn, yada, yada. On Monday, July 8th, I was contacted by Juror D, true name and identity withheld to maintain anonymity. Based on my conversation with Juror D and that juror's description of who he or she is, where he or she was seated, and certain identifying information, name and occupation, etc., I was able to positively identify Juror D as a sitting juror in this trial, etc. Juror D told me that he/D decided to reach out to me because he/she was, quote, uncomfortable with how the trial ended. Can I just say they instead of he/she?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Just trust me that it's he/. They said the last day of the trial was a, quote, whirlwind and everything happened fast. They recounted that their perspective was that the jury was brought into the courtroom, the note was read, the mistrial was declared, and that the jury was then rushed out of the courtroom. Following a brief meeting with the judge, the next thing they all knew, the jury was on the bus. They described the end of the trial as very confusing. So that's page 1. Next up, Juror D said it was troubling. The entire case ended without the jury being asked about each count, especially counts 1 and 3. Juror D explained the jury reached not guilty verdicts on counts 1 and 3, and that the disagreement was solely on count 2 and its lesser offenses. Of course, we've discussed this before. We don't have to go into the details. If folks want to go back and listen, they can hear those details. The jury believed that they were compelled to come to a resolution on all counts before they could or should report verdicts on any of the counts. After discussion, the jury decided to inform the court that they were deadlocked and they expected they would get further instruction about the remaining decided counts thereafter. Juror D explained that they were confused and upset that further instruction never came. Juror D explained that after the jury was excused and aboard the bus, many of the jurors appeared uncomfortable with how things ended, wondering, quote, "Is anyone going to know that we've acquitted Karen Read on counts 1 and 3? No one ever asked about those counts." Juror D stated that once the case was over, they remained, quote, "very uncomfortable with the result." They reiterated it did not feel right. They said that part of their discomfort was that they knew the jury had reached verdicts on 2 counts and Karen Read might be retried on those 2 counts and, quote, "that's just not right." I inquired whether, in their opinion, other jurors would agree and acknowledge that not guilty verdicts were reached on count 1 and 3. Juror D, without hesitation, said in substance, quote, /italics, "Every one of us will agree and acknowledge that we found Karen Read not guilty of counts 1 and 3 because that's what happened." Juror D reiterated that they believe it would be unjust for Karen Read to be retried on either count. Count 1, second-degree murder, or count 3, leaving the scene with injury or death, because the jury has already unanimously found her not guilty on those charges. Juror 3 further stated that if necessary, they would agree to testify in order to explain to the court that the jury unanimously reached not guilty verdicts on count 1 and 3, as long as their identity remained protected.
Okay, yeah.
Thoughts?
All right. Okay, well, this is the judge's fuck up, and it's a huge fuck up, and it's completely on her for not polling the jury and for just letting everybody go without doing that. I mean, I think that the jury, it's funny because the jurors, and I'm sure this is the foreman or the foreperson who composed these notes.
Have you heard the rumor, by the way, that there was a lawyer on the jury who may have been the foreperson? It might be a rumor. Who knows?
Might be a rumor. I mean, I know there were 2 jurors on the Trump trial, and so things like start to
2 lawyers that are
meld together. So, look, it was written so well. But if they had also written that we have come to a conclusion on 2 charges, but not the third, or we are deadlocked on one of the charges, or indicate as opposed to saying we're deadlocked. But it seems like this juror has explained their reasoning that they felt like that they needed to come together all through. Well, it's on the judge.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm saying it's like a lot of this could have been it's not the jury's fault or the juror's fault, but they were writing such like really great notes that you would think that they would have communicated that. They didn't communicate that. It's really not on them because it's up to the judge to poll. And
you know what's interesting? Cannoni said...
I mean, it's going to be on her. She has to fix this. This isn't something that, like, the prosecution must do X or Y, or the defense needs to file A, B, or C. This really, this really falls to the judge, and this is the judge's mess to clean up.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that the judge said, I believe twice. I think I heard it twice that I've never received notes like this before. Mm-hmm. I think I heard it the first time they got a note like, oh, this is a note. Yeah. And the second time, literally, like, I've never received a note like this. It said more clearly.
It was thoughtful, right?
The notes were thoughtful. The notes were written with like a lot of eloquence. If the rumor is true, and these rumors come from God knows who where. Let me just say, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that somebody with legal experience, even like with a relative in law, composed those notes, or who just listened very carefully to the wording of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, they knew people's, occupation, like they knew in general.
That being said, this juror says they are willing to testify under conditions of anonymity. This tells me that jurors are afraid. Mm-hmm. Why do you think in this case, and I'm asking your straight opinion, I do not want to color it with mine. Why do you think jurors in this case want to remain anonymous?
Well, they see the hot, spicy news coverage on this.
Like ours?
Yeah, they're all patrons, and they're all upset right now. No, I mean what I'm getting at is that they understand that. I mean, I don't know. I want to say they fear for their safety, but they fear for their comfort. They don't want to be harassed. They, certainly they've taken a position. They've taken a position that could be seen as anti-cop, authority, so authoritarian. So you get pulled over, for running a red light. You are going to get a different kind of scrutiny from the officer if they think that you're one of the jurors that did X, Y, Z. Right. So, I mean, I just think there are a lot of reasons, and some of them are understandable, but, not really based in fact or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that appears to be the kind of thing, the jurors, like when they were in the jury, they kind of assumed a kind of anonymity doing their job. And so they feel like that there's an expectation that if they were to resume that, or in some way they were to, participate in the legal process again, that protection should be extended.
Why do you think they assume anonymity? Because the jurors' names are public in Massachusetts when trials are over.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just, like, I'm not... I think that it's probably more of a vibe than it is like factual, but that's just how this juror is feeling.
So here's what I think. This juror says, I'm willing to testify to this thing about the whole jury if my name is anonymous. So I think it's like, I'm willing to tell you this is what happened behind the scenes if my name is anonymous. This is what it tells me. It's not about other jurors being mad at them. I don't think.
I don't think it's the other jurors.
I think it's about social media shit.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it's about this Jen Coffender FBI person. I think it's about Ellie Mae 654327215678910 whatever. I think it's about Kathy 8275267497265.
Yeah.
I think it's about those people. I think it's about the people who would take whatever this person says and completely twist it and then post their fucking address and then do all the things they have done to other people. And by the way, those same people will say, well, this was done to Jen McCabe. But the bottom line is it kind of wasn't. Like, these people are actually witnesses in the trial.
These people answered a jury summons.
Exactly.
They're citizens. They showed up. They were honest. They gave how many weeks of their life
they
to
gave
do this?
Fucking 10 weeks of their life.
At great... I don't want to say discomfort, but a great inconvenience to their lives, to their jobs, to their families.
That's right.
To do this. They did not thrust themselves into the middle of this case. But also remember, these were people who, if they were following their oath, they were not plugged into any of this social media stuff, any of the real news stuff.
Right?
And so when it's over, they're free to look at it, and they must have been, wow. They must have been wowed to get all of that all at once.
It seems like they did their job.
They did their job.
Because if they got all this social media stuff afterward and they were upset by social media after, sounds like they weren't looking at it during. And that's actually kind of impressive. All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave it for now. Obviously, more news could break today about this. And so we'll just leave it there. It's early in the morning.
Yeah.
And as we know, every single day.
I'm guessing that Juror D, the fourth juror, stepped forward when they heard about jurors A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So I am anticipating that E, F, G, and H, and the rest of them are all going to be stepping forward now and coming forward to say the same thing on their own.
I hope so.
But at some point, somebody has to. I mean, I'm sure the defense is petitioning to get the contact information if they don't already have it. They have to reach out and poll these jurors and just get them all to swear in an affidavit that this is what they did. And it's look, I don't know if you can like retroactively enter a jury verdict, blah, blah, blah. But I think that the judge needs to see the real world application here and dismiss those two charges without prejudice.
Can I just say one last thing?
Well, just to dismiss the charges.
And I don't want to, I'm just going to say this, and you can disagree with me, and it's okay if you do. I really want the 6 men on this jury to step up if they agree. I'm not saying for sure that I think all 3 of these 4 people are women, because some of them may not be. They may be 4 men. I don't know. I do know that my experience tells me that when people step up initially and they're afraid for anonymity, like women very honestly are like, they're like, these feel like, it feels like, I just wish this, I know it's 6 women and 6 men. I know they have a group text. I really hope that the people on this jury stand together. I hope if it's men, the women step up and stand with the men. And I hope if these are women stepping forward, I hope the dudes step up and stand by the women. If they're in fact in a group text together and they all agree, dude, be allies. Like, live your truth, people.
Yeah.
Live your truth. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Don't let the women do the work.
Yeah. That was in one of the affidavits that we haven't heard that from a juror. It's kind of interesting to think that they do have, a group chat going. But, I mean, that would be a way for them to, I can't imagine then that jurors A, B, C, and D are not communicating their actions in the group chat. That they're going ahead to do this and encouraging others to do so.
Yeah. Well, I doubt they're sharing screenshots from the group chat because I promise if they were, they'd be in the fucking affidavit.
They know that.
I
think Juror E took their phone to a army base.
Cape Cod?
Yeah, Cape Cod, and threw the phone in one dumpster and then took the SIM card and threw it out in a different dumpster.
Where did they learn to do that?
It's just how they get rid of their phones.
Oh, yeah.
They don't turn them in for the upgrade, right? Where you get turn in your old iPhone 10 and get an iPhone 11.
Listen.
From Verizon. No, we don't do that.
I learned a lot from this trial.
We don't want any chicks checking out our nudes and our...
I learned a lot.
Man.
I learned that
you learned a lot.
I learned that your car can record upstairs, downstairs. I learned a lot.
How fast you were going in reverse.
And by the way,
at a certain time.
Have you seen all the online videos of people trying to drive 24 miles per hour in reverse? Have you seen them? Oh my God.
I have not. That is actually very fast in reverse.
Oh my God. There are so many videos of people saying, here's what it looks like when you try to drive 24 miles. It's actually like 24 miles per hour in reverse is fucking... By the way, it takes so long to accelerate to 24 miles per hour reverse. It takes much longer than...
You have to floor it.
The distance between the Albert's driveway and the flagpole. It takes so long.
I tell you, I was once going very, very recently, and I was like specifically looking at the speedometer. I was doing a backup thing, and when it got up to 10 miles an hour in reverse, it felt really fast and dangerous, right? Like you can't control it. So I can only imagine what 27 miles an hour actually feels like inside the car.
God bless
anyway.
All right, here we are. All right, here we are. Anyway, well, good morning, Kevin. And, if there's something else to report tonight, we will. If not, I guess if there's something tomorrow, we'll see it tomorrow. And I keep thinking maybe in a couple days, but every fucking day something happens here in the Readathon. So thanks so much, Kevin, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.
Partners in Crime Media.